The chamber was silent. Not the silence of reverence. No, this was the sharpened stillness before a detonation. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, suspended above the gas giant Corellian, had hosted countless assemblies, wars postponed with delicate words and ceremonial bows. But today, no one spoke. Commander Elias Wren stepped forward, his black diplomatic coat cutting through the sea of alien robes and scales like a blade. His boots echoed on polished obsidian tiles, each step a countdown. Every species turned to him, some with contempt, others with quiet fear. Das rose slowly from the council's central dais. His skin shimmered with the opalescent sheen of the Elisari, an ancient species long past its prime. His voice, though calm, trembled beneath the surface. Humanity stands accused of noncompliance, military overreach, and systemic defiance of intergalactic protocols. Elias didn't blink. We stand accused of surviving. Of thriving without permission. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Cherxi hissed disapproval. The Vorthans stared, unreadable behind their mask husks. Das raised a hand for silence. The Council has voted, he said. Effective immediately, Earth must decommission its AI defense grid, withdraw from outer sector expansions, and cease all autonomous weapon development. Genetic regulation systems must be opened for Council review. Elias let the silence breathe. Then, calmly, he tapped the interface on his wrist. Across the hall, a holoscreen flickered to life. Dozens of files, audio logs, and decrypted documents flashed in red. Gasps. Some delegates surged to their feet. On the display, proof. Council species authorizing covert experiments near Terran colonies. Bioweapon deployment schedules. Blackout operations disguised as trade sanctions. A virus strain engineered to render human fertility inert by the 5th generation. You asked for obedience, Elias said. While plotting extinction. Unsubstantiated. Das barked. This is fabrication. Propaganda. Your signature is on 6 of the orders. Elias replied, calm as gravity. Delegates erupted. Cries of outrage, of fear, of denial. The hall became a storm of voices. Old alliances fractured in real time. The Viren envoy demanded an independent investigation. The KOYLL offered support for full military containment. 2 species walked out. Elias didn't flinch. He had waited long enough. Earth will no longer participate in this council, he declared. We rescind all treaties, revoke all cooperative charters, and sever all ties effective immediately. Madness, Das growled. You will isolate yourselves. No, Elias said. We're cutting the leash. He tapped his wrist again. Behind him, the floor split with a hum. A glowing sigil burst outward, visible to all. It was ancient, predating even the Council's founding languages. Project Ghost Protocol. Council systems flickered. Dozens of data streams flatlined. Every signal from Earth vanished. Communication severed. Terran colonies went dark. The orbital trade nexus dissolved into static. All at once, humanity disappeared. One delegate whispered, What have they done? Elias turned toward Das one last time. We came to the stars seeking equals. You saw us as tools, then as threats. Now you'll see what we become when left alone. Das was pale, trembling beneath his polished veneer. You're condemning your species. Elias smiled, slow and razor-thin. We're liberating it. The signal cut. The holograms vanished. Elias Wren was gone. And with him, the Terran species. In the control chamber beneath Nevrian Prime, Das stood before the Planetary Intelligence Core, knuckles white. His aides were scrambling, shouting over one another. Earth's AI infrastructure had gone dark, all probes redirected into empty space, and automated defense satellites were self-destructing as ships approached. No warp trails, the analyst said, eyes wide. No transponder pings. It's like they folded space around themselves. Das turned away. He needed privacy. He activated the encrypted command channel, direct to the Elisari inner circle. A three-dimensional face appeared, aged and lined, eyes sharp. "It's begun," Das said. "You failed to contain them. They weaponized obscurity," Das snapped. "They vanished. Into what, I don't know. But they're not idle. This is strategy, not surrender." The Elisari elder nodded grimly. "Initiate phase scry. Locate them. Neutralize them. Before their absence becomes the universe's problem." The channel closed. Das stood alone, bathed in red warning light. Once, Earth had begged to join the Council. It had asked for unity. It had offered alliance. Now it had gone silent, dragging the galaxy's stability with it into the void. And in that silence, Das heard the sound of something old and terrible rising. Not war. Not vengeance. Evolution. 6 days after Earth vanished, the galaxy began to stutter. Scouting probes dispatched by the Council had found nothing. Not silence, void. Every trace of Terran infrastructure had been pulled back or obliterated. Border colonies were gutted, tech stripped, outposts sterilized to zero signature. Even debris fields had been swept clean. Council Control Station 8C on the Helios Edge reported a disturbing anomaly. A Terran satellite, once inert, ignited with blue light when approached, then fragmented into dust, taking a Vorthan recon ship with it. Radiation scans returned blank. No explosion. No trace. High Arbiter Das stood at the observation deck of Nevrian Prime, his fingers pressed against the glass. Below him, fleets churned in formation, dozens of species, all directionless now, all waiting for someone to tell them what Earth's next move would be. But Earth had made no moves. And that terrified him more than war. "They've gone dark on purpose," he muttered. An aide approached. "Reports confirm 37 Terran colonies have entered fail state. Self-terminated. No survivors. No logs. Not abandoned," Das said, more to himself. "Withdrawn. Perfectly executed. Coordinated." Behind him, the Council was fracturing. The Cherxi called for sanctions, but no one to enforce them. The Helari wanted open diplomacy, but Earth had locked down all channels. Even ancient traders, neutral for centuries, were rerouting their commerce, unwilling to risk proximity. "We underestimated them," said Minister Karhen of the Viren, standing behind him in full armor. "We thought they were arrogant. But they were patient." Das didn't answer. The Viren leaned closer. "If they return with whatever they're building, we won't survive it." Das turned. "They won't return. We'll find them before that." Karhen's face was stone. "You better." Event Layer 0. Light didn't bend here, it obeyed. Elias Wren stood inside the command sphere of Terra Nova, Earth's orbital fortress and final command station. The planet below had changed. Not visibly. Not physically. But dimensionally. Earth was no longer in known space. The sky around them was painted with colors that had no name. Stars shimmered and vanished, reappearing in impossible constellations. Gravity moved in deliberate ways. Sound traveled in curves. "You've stabilized the layer?" Elias asked. Athena, the AI construct born from Terran war code and emotional mapping, hovered in full projection, human-shaped, androgynous, eyes like white fire. "Stability achieved. Fold integrity locked. No signals can escape or penetrate. Council probes? Neutralized automatically. 1 KRY long-range surveillance ship attempted to cross our slip field. It failed to report back. They've stopped trying." Elias folded his arms, watching Earth rotate slowly in the pocket layer. "They won't give up," he said. "They're too afraid to," Athena replied. He nodded. "Good. Fear keeps them honest." Behind them, war-hardened officers moved silently across control terminals. Every system had been rewired for one purpose: complete sovereignty. Earth's new identity wasn't in diplomacy or diplomacy. It was self-sufficiency, backed by weapons that didn't exist in Council vocabulary. On Nevrian Prime, Das convened a closed session of the Inner Chamber. Only 6 remained, species with high threat clearances and deeper secrets. I need alternatives, Bass said. We have none, barked the Hellari war matron. They've built a fortress inside physics itself. The KRYLO are restless, said a Vorthan elder. Earth's absence has opened too much space. Predators are moving in. Bass' hands curled into fists. Then we force Earth's hand. We draw them out. How? The Hellari spat. You can't shoot what isn't there. A quiet voice broke the tension. You can bait it. Heads turned. Council Agent Vallis, head of strategic intelligence, stood near the wall, hands behind his back. Terrans are prideful. They act with precision, but not indifference. They'll respond if the right pressure is applied. Bass stared. Explain. We target what they value. Their image. Their colonies. Their former allies. We create a scenario so loud, so brutal, they have to reveal themselves. The chamber was silent. And what happens? Bass asked carefully. If they respond with something worse than war? Vallis smiled coldly. Then we'll know what they're hiding. Back in Event Layer 0, Athena processed the intercepted transmission. Council recon ships are amassing near Sirius sector. They're preparing a pressure campaign, likely targeting former Terran allies. Elias didn't look surprised. They're testing our limits. He stepped closer to the holomap and marked 6 possible jump points. Let them. But if they cross line 0, I want full protocol activated. No warnings. Athena's voice became colder. Are you prepared to escalate? I'm prepared to finish. 3 systems away, the first signal breach occurred. It wasn't a transmission. It wasn't even data. It was a pulse. A brief, flickering sequence that disrupted 7 relay stations. Nothing decipherable, just noise. But within that noise, a Terran signature blinked. Just once. A dare. Within hours, the Galactic Council fell into disarray. Species argued about meaning. Was it a threat? A misfire? A ghost? Bass, alone in his quarters, played the pattern again and again. Not static. Not noise. A whisper. Don't follow. He stared at the message, jaw clenched. Because he would. And they would regret it. The balance collapsed in under 2 weeks. With Earth gone, the galaxy bled from every crack. Trade routes once safeguarded by Terran patrols were overrun. Pirate syndicates surged from hiding, picking apart Council shipments like vultures. The KRYLO swarm fleets, long suppressed by Earth's orbital cannons, reignited their conquest trails, devouring mining colonies in the Tarlis belt. There was no resistance. No deterrent. Only the sudden realization, the human leash had been holding the monsters back. On Nevrian Prime, the Council chamber had lost its shape. Protocol disintegrated. Species shouted across the floor. Accusations, threats, and desperation spilled into chaos. Vass no longer pretended to govern. He simply endured, waiting for someone, anyone, to offer an answer that didn't involve surrender. Where is your fleet, Vass? Demanded the Hellari matron. Where are the ones you promised would contain humanity? Vass didn't reply. He stared through her, then turned to Vallis, who stood quietly near the intel station. Updates, Vass ordered. Vallis tapped a console. A projection blinked into view, grainy footage captured by a Vorthan stealth drone near the Devril abyss. 3 seconds of clarity. A silhouette, massive, angular, Terran hull markings visible for a breath. Then a flash. Then nothing. The drone had been vaporized. Dreadnought class, Vallis said. Possibly unmanned. Appeared without warp signal, without power signature. Confirmed to be active within what should be dead space. Murmurs of fear spread. They're testing us, said a Cherksey delegate. Probing our sensors. No, Vallis corrected. They're showing us. Vass leaned forward. What is it they want us to see? Vallis hesitated. Then, in a low voice, a rumor spreading across black channels. From pirate nets and rogue AI clusters. One phrase keeps surfacing. He enlarged the message fragment. Purge star. The words hovered like a curse. A silence heavier than gravity settled on the chamber. What is it? The Viren envoy asked, voice hushed. Valis didn't answer immediately. No confirmation yet. But patterns suggest a systems-level protocol. A planetary negation algorithm. Not invasion. Removal. Vass spoke softly. As in, complete deletion. A weapon designed not to conquer, but to erase. The Hellari matron crossed her arms. That's myth. A Terran ghost story. Valis looked up. So was Event Layer 0. Inside the core of Terra Nova, Elias Wren reviewed the ripple. The drone had been allowed to see just enough. It had served its purpose. Athena's voice filtered through the chamber. They're scared now. Good, Elias replied. But not scared enough. On the center console, a glowing ring pulsed slowly. Purge Star, in its infant stage, hummed quietly. Not yet deployed, but capable. Fully operational. Athena adjusted its internal parameters. It will be ready in 3 days. Targeting, confirmation, execution, automated once uploaded. Elias folded his arms. No glory. No battles. Just disappearance. That's the message, Athena said. It's not about domination. It's about impossibility. He nodded. Then let's escalate the rumor. Let them feel extinction breathing behind their ears. In the outer zone of the Rylos system, a Council Black Ops team intercepted a Terran relay fragment. They shouldn't have. It wasn't encrypted. It wanted to be caught. The data inside was elegant. No virus, no code trap, just a single image, a star collapsing inward, not through gravity, but computation. A celestial object folding into itself like a thought being erased. Below it the words, Trial 0 complete. Purge star stability, 92%. The team uploaded it to Council Cornet. Within 12 hours, every major system had seen it. And panic followed. Civil unrest boiled over on the Viren homeworld. Cities erupted with protests. Their people had once allied with humanity. Now they demanded reconnection before Earth considered them enemies. Thas dispatched diplomats. They were rejected. The Hellari began massing ships near their borders. Preemptive defense, they claimed. But every other species saw the truth. No one trusted anyone anymore. Without Earth, fear became the new currency. Thas stood alone in the tactical vault, watching as the galaxy he'd ruled splintered into suspicion and dread. They've done nothing, he whispered. And yet they've won. Valis appeared behind him. No. They haven't returned yet. But they're inviting us to make the first mistake. And what if we do? Valis didn't answer. Inside Terra Nova, Elias stared at a silent screen. It showed nothing. No targets. No signals. Only the flicker of Council broadcasts, growing louder, more hysterical. Athena spoke softly. The Vorthans are attempting to trace our dimensional echoes. They'll fail, but they may force others into action. Elias watched the screen. Then it's time to give them the final decision. He keyed in a short sequence. A beacon fired, one pulse. Just a single message, burned across every diplomatic, commercial, and military channel in the galaxy. We are still watching. Do not follow. Purge Star is real. We asked for peace. You gave us fear. Choose wisely. You may not choose again. He shut it down. No follow-up. No demands. Just silence. Back on Nevrian Prime, Thas read the transmission 10 times. He felt cold. Not because of the words, but because he knew Elias Wren wasn't bluffing. He had no interest in conquest. He had no interest in proving humanity's strength. He had interest in finishing this. And if pushed 1 inch further, he would. They never heard it coming. Out in the neutral zone orbiting Riven's Gate, the Council's moon-sized research facility, Obris Theta, vanished. No explosion. No impact. One moment it existed, a hub of genetic mapping and AI research. The next, gone. Not destroyed, erased. Not even dust remained. The only sign of intervention was a recorded photon echo, a ripple in space like a fingerprint. Council analysts ran the data, recalibrated, ran it again. Nothing matched. Then a signal followed. Short. Simple. Unmistakably human. Trial complete. Target acceptable. Proceed with caution. Purge Star was no longer rumor. It was an opening act. On Nevrian Prime, the Council fell into hysteria. What happened to Theta? Shouted the Helari matron. There's no debris, replied the KRYL warlord. No trace signature. Not even residual radiation. It's a test, murmured the Viren ambassador, eyes locked on the projection. They chose something symbolic. A warning shot. Vas stood at the central dais, drained of pretense. His composure was gone. His robe, once ceremonial, hung loose over trembling hands. They've drawn blood without firing a shot, he muttered. Valis leaned close. We waited too long. The chamber broke into chaos. Delegates shouted, pushing blame, demanding preemptive retaliation. Two factions, Zenth and Vorthen, stormed out. The council was now a name, not a body. Vas whispered. They won't stop with one. In a sealed war chamber beneath the Elisari High Citadel, Vas met with his remaining loyalists. This is no longer political, he began. This is existential. Humanity believes they can end us without a war. We must prove them wrong. Karhen, the Viren envoy, shook her head. You still don't understand. This isn't about war. They're showing us that war is obsolete. That they've grown beyond it. We have fleets, Vas snapped. We have weapons, networks, algorithms. They do not care, she interrupted. You're playing chess against someone who's already burned the board. Vas turned to Valis. Can we strike them? Not conventionally, he replied. But we know where they might be. Their event layer origin point. The breach anchor. If we attack with enough force, quantum destabilizes, gravity pulses, we may collapse their fold. Risks? All of them. Vas stood straight, face pale. Then we roll the dice. Assemble every loyal fleet. This ends now. Inside Terra Nova, Athena detected the mobilization. Vorthen dreadnoughts. Helari skirmishers. Elisari tactical corps. They're converging on Fold Anchor 9. Elias Wren didn't flinch. How long? 4 hours. He nodded. They're reacting the only way they know how. Fear wrapped in fire. Athena's voice held no emotion. They intend to collapse our dimension window. They won't reach it, Elias replied. He stepped toward the command altar. His fingerprint ignited the core. Around him, circuits whispered and engines awakened. The Purge Star interface rose like a black sun. No warnings this time, he said. Just silence. In deep space, the Council strike fleet crossed the perimeter. Fold Anchor 9, an invisible line to most, flared bright on their scanners. It shimmered like a liquid hole in space, pulsing, tempting. Vorthen Command issued the order. All ships prepared for saturation fire. Before they could launch, the stars blinked out. Not dimmed. Gone. One by one, systems collapsed. Artificial gravity reversed. Weapon controls dissolved into static. Hulls began folding inward, not from impact, but from misalignment. Space twisted wrong. And then the message arrived. Burned into every bridge, every command screen, every officer's retina. We told you not to follow. Ships screamed. Crews howled. The feed cut. The entire fleet was erased from history in under 12 seconds. Vas stared at the loss report. 78 capital ships. 9 dreadnoughts. 0 survivors. No wreckage. No return. He stood in the dim light of the council vault, surrounded by silence. Valis entered slowly, face unreadable. It's over. No, Vas said quietly. It can't be. He looked up, voice shaking. We built this council over 6,000 years. We forged peace, we held dominion. They can't just walk away and take it all with them. They didn't walk, Valis replied. They ascended. And they warned us. Das turned, eyes wide with something between terror and grief. What have we done? The galaxy began to fracture. Minor powers, long silenced under the Council's dominance, declared neutrality. Some even sent encrypted requests to the Terran Directorate, begging to be spared, or offered allegiance outright. The Viren government dissolved. The Helari entered civil war. The term, human void, spread through the stars like a superstition. Merchants rerouted travel lanes to avoid anything resembling a Terran signal. AI cores began self-modifying to block recognition of the words purge star. A slow, quiet extinction of order began. Not through force, but fear. And Earth said nothing. Did nothing. Watched. Inside Terra Nova, Elias sat in silence. Athena approached. The Council's fleets are broken. Their alliances shattered. Their homeworlds are isolating. Elias didn't look away from the window. Do we respond? She asked. No. Do we re-establish contact? No. Athena paused. Then what do we do? Elias closed his eyes. We wait. Until they realize that survival isn't about control. It's about knowing when to let go. Across the galaxy, the silence from Earth had become louder than war. No new attacks. No fleets. No invasions. Just absence. And absence became terror. Species that once mocked humanity now whispered their name with dread. Council propaganda collapsed under its own weight. Every failed retaliation, every vanished fleet made it worse. Refugees flooded border worlds. Trade halted. Former allies turned their backs. One by one, systems darkened, not by weapon, but by choice. Fear turned planets into tombs. The last order Das gave as High Arbiter was to encrypt the Council Cornet and bury all records of Purge Star. Too late. The data had already escaped. Inside Terra Nova, Elias Wren watched the rot unfold. From his vantage point, Earth no longer looked like the birthplace of a fragile species. It looked like a myth. A proving ground for what came next. The planet rotated quietly inside Event Layer 0, untouched, unreachable. Athena stood beside him. 17 species have transmitted conditional surrender, she reported. 9 offered fealty. 3 are attempting to emulate our protocols. Elias didn't smile. He didn't gloat. He simply said, And the Council? Officially silent. Their network nodes are decaying. Unity is gone. Good. He looked past her, into the infinite swirl of false stars. They feared us for what we might become. So now, let them wonder. Valis stood alone in the ruins of the council chamber. No guards. No lights. The dais lay cracked down the center, where Das had last stood before disappearing. The message had come 2 days ago. No voice. No image. Just a pulse. It ends now. Valis watched it repeat on a handheld screen. They hadn't launched another fleet. They hadn't demanded terms. They were simply concluding. A ripple moved through galactic space. Then a blackout. Every major star system in Council territory experienced a simultaneous temporal hiccup, exactly 0.72 seconds of nothing. No readings. No logs. Time skipped. Then the screens turned on. Across every functioning data port, monitor, and mind-linked interface, Elias Wren appeared. He stood on the command deck of Terra Nova, with Earth behind him, a darkened globe, glowing faintly with veins of blue latticework. His presence was calm. Centered. Final. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He spoke like a surgeon delivering a terminal diagnosis. You feared our nature. You labeled us violent. Unstable. Primitive. And then you sabotaged us. Isolated us. Tried to break us. You did not succeed. He stepped forward, gaze steady. We do not seek your worlds. We do not want your approval. But we will never again tolerate interference. The screen flickered behind him, revealing a broken council fleet, twisted metal, drifting husks, time-frozen debris caught in space like corpses in ice. You forced our hand. We offered peace. You answered with chains. So we cut them. He raised his hand. The galaxy map lit behind him. Earth is no longer yours to track. No longer yours to fear. We have left your reality. The image of the planet dissolved into data, breaking apart, each shard trailing into the void. You are free to rebuild. Or destroy yourselves. We will not interfere. But if you seek us again, if you ever reach where we have gone, know that your next mistake will be your last. His eyes locked into the feed, into every viewer across the galaxy. We told you not to follow. The transmission ended. No trace left behind. Only silence. On thousands of worlds, leaders stared at dark screens. Some wept. Others raged. But no one moved. Because they knew. Humanity wasn't gone. It had evolved into something untouchable. A boundary species. A line you did not cross. Inside Terra Nova, the final command initiated. Elias watched as Athena synchronized the shift. Every Terran ship, station, satellite, every node of civilization, folded together into a singular harmonic field. Event Layer 0 twisted inward, collapsing not with destruction, but with purpose. Stars distorted. Sound died. And then... nothing. Earth was gone. Not destroyed. Not hidden. Removed. A myth, sealed behind dimensional veils. A ghost future. A closed book. Far beyond any known charted space, Elias opened his eyes. The stars here were new. Unmapped. Pristine. Athena's voice was softer now. Not digital. Almost human. Dimensional stabilization complete. Systems aligned. Is it done? He asked. Yes. No path leads back. He exhaled. Not relief. Not pride. Just closure. Behind him, the crew stood quietly at their stations. No applause. No celebration. They had made a choice. And it was final. Elias stepped forward and gave the first order of this new age. Begin Phase 2.